So I'd like to welcome to the channel today, Dave Streeter, founder of Sandstone Capital. Dave, thank you very much for coming to the channel and joining me today.
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for having me. I appreciate being on your channel.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right into things. And one of the first topics I want to address, I think a lot of people think that the best money managers, the best fund managers typically come from Harvard, Yale, have worked on Wall Street, basically kind of fit that kind of persona. But I think you and I know that that's actually not true, that it's actually a background in law enforcement that provides the best skill set for being able to generate wealth. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I love the segue into that. That was perfect. Yes, as Chris mentioned, I am former law enforcement, and as a lot of you know, inside our cruisers are these little laptops. And when you work night shift or it is downtime, which was kind of rare in my times, but you're able to do research, whatever you want. If you want to look at the game highlights from the other night, that's fine. But not this kid. I did all my studying on about stocks and stock charts, and prior to that, anyways, at least I've been trading for 25 years. And one particular night in April of 2019, I was doing some research. I use a site called FinViz.
FinViz.
FinViz, yeah. It was actually it was my day off, and this little tiny company based out of Austin, Texas, kept on coming up on the radar, and they have different kind of candlestick patterns, and it kept on indicating bullish pattern, bullish pattern. What is this stock? I must find out. So it's a company out of Boston, Texas, and they kept on report good earnings, quarterly earnings. It was about $2-3 a share, small cap company, and
And what was the name of the company?
well, I'll tell you in a minute. I'll get to that. I want to keep everybody on the edge of their seats, And so I had some cash allocation in my portfolio, and I said, you know what? This seems like a good company. And I took about 25% of my portfolio in cash. And in July of 2019, I bought X number of shares at $5.23. Okay. So I'm all excited. I'm telling guys about it. Yeah, Dave, it's going to crash. Don't worry. No, you'll be back working again. You got dreams. Anyways, COVID hits, and we all remember COVID, March 2020, and my investment dropped down to 40%. So what do?
List of ours. Yeah.
I bought the dip. I bought some more shares. Long story short, I was in this position at 30,000 shares.
Not a small position.
Yeah, it's a relatively small position. So basically, my cost basis was around $5.23, give or take. February of 2021, they came out with excellent quarterly earnings. I sold all of my shares at $81.30.
Wow.
So if you got
a substantial increase.
You can do the math.
Yeah.
And the funny part is, I didn't tell my wife about it. And when the quarterly statements came out in the mail, and this is great, I surprised her. I said, honey, it was on a Saturday, I remember very well, Saturday morning. I said, sit down, I got to talk to you about something. And of course, human nature is, it's going to be all bad news, And I took the statement out of the envelope and I handed it to her, and I said, this is our new net worth. She burst out in tears.
Wow.
Yeah. So the name of the company is Digital Turbine, ticker symbol APPS. And if you look at the 5-year chart, you will see at around 2019, late 2019 or so, it was around $5 a share. In February of 2021, I pulled out at $81.30. I think it did reach a high of about $100, but one of the technical indicators I used to sell the position was the RSI. I
Hmm.
know our friend Master P likes to use RSI, the relative strength indicator.
Hmm.
At that point, the position was over 70. So the lights were going off. The warning signs were indicative of, it's being overbought. And that's when I pulled out of the position.
Yeah, and I've noticed since then that the stock for this particular company has since fallen considerably since then. So
Yeah.
very timely exit, it sounds like.
Thank you. Yes. And speaking to a lot of professional people who are brokers, and they're just like, Dave, I would never in a million years recommend this to anybody, you know. Um, I want your viewers to remember one thing, though, kind of a key takeaway, and it's words of wisdom. Investing is the art of using imperfect information to make probabilistic assessments about an inherently unknown future.
I like
Okay.
that.
Thank you. Um, no one can predict the future. I don't care how rich you are or how intelligent you are. I mean, let's face it, no one knows. And I'm sure everybody watching this would agree. It's all using, because you're an option trader, the information that you have now and making a decision based on certain market environments.
Yeah,
If it goes south or if it goes north, I mean, it can go either way. But the truth is, we all don't know.
for sure. Lots of unknowns out there.
Yeah.
So I know you live in Florida now. Where were you living at the time when you were working in law enforcement and you made this very opportune investment?
I live in the Treasure Coast on the southeast end of Florida. I
Uh-huh.
like to tell people I'm about 15 miles from Target Woods home.
Is that where you lived when you were in law enforcement?
Yes, I was employed in the same county. Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Good,
Yeah.
good. So,
Yeah.
so are you a Florida native? I guess I should ask then.
No, I was born in Kentucky, and then when I was a little boy, my parents took me and my brother. We lived in New England for a while. So most of my life, I spent in New England. So as you can tell, or as you can see, this 180 degrees, of days with just being hot is pretty much normal place here in South Florida. So
Yeah,
not used to this, continual warm weather all the time, as opposed to New England.
good. So you mentioned that, you had the opportunity while you were working in law enforcement based on having a computer in the car, you could do some research and look things up. I guess what first sparked you to start thinking about potentially investing in stocks or in this stock in particular? Was this something that an interest of yours that had started to develop or how did this come about?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I've always been interested in stock trading. During downtime, I'm just basically, it's like fishing, just finding the right fish and know when to put the hook in the water. That's about it. Looking for good buys, and of course, as you know, there's technical and fundamentals too, and everything. All the planets have to be in line, in my opinion, to be a perfect trade, technically and fundamentally, in most cases.
Certainly. And so you started, investing in stocks. You found this stock obviously paid off very well for you. At what point in time you're now retired from law enforcement, correct?
Right.
At what point in time did you decide that it made sense to hang up the protect and serve and focus your efforts more to the prosper and grow side of things?
So in February 2021, as you know, that's when I hit the jackpot. To me, it was like kind of a slow and agonizing lottery. That's the best way I can describe it. And I had all this vacation time that I had to burn. So I requested a meeting with the sheriff. And I said, sir, there's something I have to tell you. And he's like, everything okay? What's wrong? I said, I have to turn in my badge. I no longer have to work. And he's like, Dave, everything okay? What's wrong? I said, oh, no, sir. No, everything's fine. And in fact, everything's great. I just don't have to work anymore. I kind of did pretty good on the stock market. Oh, that's great. That's great. We'll miss you. But I had all this sick time and vacation time that I had to burn. So technically, I still worked for the county for about a month when I put in my paperwork. I was still getting paid from them. And
Wow.
then that's my effective retirement date was like March of that same year, March 1st. Um, and I had taken all that money when I sold, and because I knew all about dividend stocks, ExxonMobil, Verizon, all the usual dividend payers. That's when I allocated all that money into at the time when I liquidated.
Good, good. When I hear about a windfall like that from a stock sale, obviously there's tax implications from that. Can you tell me a little bit about your approach and how you handled the capital gains and was there anything that you did to try and mitigate that?
So that's a great question. The portfolio is in a tax shelter, and my dividends are taxed at point of withdrawal. And actually, not a lot of people know, but there's a federal law that law enforcement or public service can withdraw after they attain the age of 50 without the 10% penalty.
Oh,
So that was a huge plus for me. So I just get taxed my normal 20% when I make a withdrawal from my tax sheltered account.
yeah, but in the meantime, it can continue to grow, basically tax free until that point of withdrawal.
Right,
Excellent,
right.
excellent.
And also too, I want to kind of set the record straight about with your viewers, with my mindset. Capital gains, don't get me wrong, are excellent for a young guy starting out or for someone building a portfolio. By all means, build up that capital gains, build it up where you have, unrealized capital gains. With me, it's just about income. My portfolio as of this morning is hovering around 5.5, 6% capital gain, but I'm squeezing out 8.5, 8% dividend yield, and I'm
Mhm.
okay with that. So, I'm not looking to beat the S&P 500. Definitely not. I'm just here for the income. Now, does that mean if I'm looking around and making a new investment, do I get kind of a mediocre stock? No, not really. I mean, growth in income would be nice, but I'm more income oriented as opposed to growth oriented stocks.
Makes sense. Good.
But that's just my mindset. I
Sure.
noticed 85, 90% of people on Twitter or on X are all, building on my portfolio because I'm already there. I've already won the rat race. I paid up my mortgage. I retired at 50 years old, I'm there, but I want people that follow me to do what I do, sort of, not take a big risk, but I want people to be financially free.
Certainly.
I'm sure you
Yes.
do too.
Well, and those are the key words right there, right? Financially free and whatever that means for the individual. So let's talk a little bit about Sandstone Capital. This is a firm that you founded. Can you tell us a little bit about what its purpose is, what you're doing with Sandstone?
Whenever anybody walks or gets handed down a large amount of money, it's always best to protect that investment. And I was advised by an attorney who I know and my accountant that I should create an LLC, and everything's all in that umbrella
Mhm.
as an LLC. We don't really buy anything per se, or it's just the way my house, my name, and all my assets are incorporated into an LLC for protection and for tax write-offs too.
Mhm.
Because when I retired from law enforcement, my wife had a good question, and I never thought about it. She's like, "What are you going to do with yourself now?" I'm like, "You know what, dear? You got a point." So I took a real estate course, and I sell real estate on the side.
Oh.
So the things I use to produce a house sale, I can write off, all the expenses.
Mhm. Well, very nice. So Sandstone Capital is basically a vehicle that you've created to manage your own assets. It's not necessarily a business that's going to interact with other investors or other people's capital. Is that right? Maybe.
Well, I don't want to spill the beans, but next year I have something exciting that I'm going to be doing in terms of venture capital. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Well, it sounds like a good reason we'll have to bring you back to the channel to talk again next
Absolutely.
year.
Yeah.
You're very good at building anticipation and kind of setting that, that thirst for knowing what's coming down the pike. But we'll look to talk to you more about that down the road.
Sure, yeah, because I'm in the we're in the planning stages of this venture capital venture,
Mhm.
but it's got to be researched, and as you know, there's all sorts of legal aspects to go into and back and forth. But it's going to be 2024. I'll announce it. I'll let everybody on. I'll make a public a statement about it. No,
Excellent. Well, we'll
no
look
doubt.
forward to it. So,
Sure.
so tell me about real estate. Obviously, this is something that's talked about a lot right now. Mortgage rates are at their highest point in a couple decades. Prices, we're both in Florida. We know how high prices have gotten here over the last couple years. What's the market like right now? What are you seeing?
I made reference on X about the Maytag repairman who's bored waiting for a sales call. That's me. But you know what though, Chris? It's slow. No one's itching to jump on a mortgage rate loan for 7.5 to 8% right now here in South Florida. And it's no secret that the homeowners insurance, as you well know, as much as I do, is through the roof.
It is, yes.
So, but that's part of the real estate market. Hopefully, I think Uncle Jerome is done beating us to death with these interest rate raises. So I'm anticipating rates to go down, mortgage rates to go down at some point in the very near future. I'm optimistic.
Certainly. Yeah, it does seem like we've sort of hit that peak. There's with no more Fed rate increases, inflation, continuing to ebb, getting much closer to normal, that you would expect that mortgage rates would also, start to trend downward here. And I think we've already seen maybe a little bit of decline over the last month or so, but hopefully that decline will continue. Probably for yourself as much as me, I remember having a mortgage at these rates before and enjoying that period of time where mortgage rates declined and being able to refi into lower and
Right.
lower rates. So at least people can look forward to that and get that same enjoyment that we did, decades ago, right?
Sure. Yeah, I agree. The 10-year treasury, it's at 4.41. Let's see where this market goes. I anticipate probably by next year, middle or late next year, you're going to start to see 5, 6%. And
Yeah.
what's nice too, there's a lot of incentive programs for first-time young homeowners and home buyers. They
Mhm.
don't need the full 20% down. They can only put down 5% if they want. I mean, your monthly payment will be more, but and now they're also offering 40-year mortgages too.
Yeah.
So to each their own. We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
First time home buyers, every bit of reducing that initial cash outlay helps though, right?
Right.
To get into that home.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Florida also enjoys for public safety workers even a greater benefit of a reduced down payment as well. Firefighters, nurses, public safety people.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. Obviously, you're very well versed in the stock market and equities. What's your feelings on real estate investment?
REITs.
REITs or even getting into actual physical property ownership, whether it's single family homes or getting more into the multifamilies, commercial. And any thoughts on real estate investment?
I'm a big proponent of REITs. I like you. I don't know if you heard of this guy, Brad Thomas on X.
Hmm.
He's I consider him the Jedi Master, if you would, of REITs, and he's great. He's very knowledgeable in REITs. And the thing about with REITs is there's not a lot of the headaches you get with being a landlord and owning all this property and getting that call at 3 o'clock in the morning. My water heater's broken, yada yada yada. So I'm a big proponent of REITs. I know they've taken a hit lately with the interest rate hike, but I'm starting to see some positive signs in the REIT market. Um, One stock in particular is the realty company, ticker symbol O. It's starting
See that a
to,
lot on Twitter, people talking about that.
yeah, Yeah, I think we met bottom about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and lately it's up about 1.5 to 2%. So there's a revested interest in that particular REIT. I know the other one I own is IIPR, the marijuana REIT. That's been
Oh,
doing spectacular.
when you're looking at REITs, are you
Mhm.
looking for REITs that are invested in a particular segment of the market? Or is it more
Well,
about the fundamentals of the company and not necessarily what it's invested in?
that's a great question. I like with a portfolio, I like to be diverse with different types of REITs. You got commercial office space REITs, you have um, hospital REITs, so there's different sectors of the REIT underneath the REIT umbrella that you can invest in. So I'm diversified. You got BDCs, like Main Street Capital. There's another
Mhm.
one. Stag, they own a ton of warehouses. Stag Industrial, that's another great stock. So it's best if you have a totally REIT portfolio, diversify in different type of specialty REITs.
Yeah, for sure. And logistics and distribution warehouses seems to be a segment that just continues to grow gangbusters. Maybe, although maybe slowing down a little bit, now that we're past COVID and online retail has started to slow down a little bit, but
Mhm.
still, regardless, seems to be a strong segment of the market.
I agree.
Um, touching on office space a little bit, obviously we've seen a sea change in terms of the amount of commercial office space that's needed, for companies whose employees are working a lot more remote or working a lot more hybrid. What do you see any strengths in that market or any particular areas of the commercial the commercial office space market that gives you hope or any particular guidance on where you think that's going to go?
In my opinion, um, COVID changed everything. We all know that, and most of the workforce was working from home, and it changed everything. It changed the dynamic of how employees work for the corporation. In my opinion, I think the commercial real estate sector is still going to be down for now. This is my prediction. What you're going to see is the commercial real estate sector down just for a while. And then once the rate starts to decrease, companies will probably refinance their loan and get a cheaper rate and maybe even cheaper rent. So it would be economical for any particular corporation to have its employees come back and work from the office. I'm guessing that's probably going to take about 3 to 5 years
Right.
as far as the time frame. But that's just my opinion. There's other people well more versed than I am with commercial real estate. I'm more of a residential guy than commercial. But that's what I see happening. Once these interest rates start going down, they're going to refinance to get a better rate. I mean, who wouldn't, right? Who wouldn't,
Right.
right?
Right. Just like homeowners,
Right?
commercial property owners can also refi and take advantage as those rates decline.
Absolutely.
That it's interesting too, looking at the employment base, and the amount of people that are working from home that enjoy working from home, the general reluctance to go back into the office market. Probably not such a big deal for people like you and I, but for people that are at a younger place in their careers, there's probably a lot of incentive for them to come back to the office to start that growth in their career path, to interact and get those opportunities for promotion and so forth. So like yourself, I think that over the next couple of years we'll start to see things improve, start to see office occupancies go up again as people start to realize what they're missing by not being in the office.
I can
And
agree with that. Yeah, I can agree because let's face it, people are a company's most important asset. Um, and you sparked on giving people incentives, and I think if you want people back that are in the workforce to come back, they'll offer people incentives to come back to the office as opposed to working from home. The other thing too is trust. Companies going to want to have to trust, in my opinion, people working at the office as opposed to home.
mhm,
So there has to be that relationship established between the employer and the employee.
for sure. No, great point.
Yeah.
So getting back to stocks again, obviously you had great success in finding a company that was poised to grow, whose stock was poised to grow dramatically. For people that are out there, working their jobs today, who have maybe a portfolio and want to start to maybe play around with it and start directing their own investments. What are some tips that you would give them, in terms of how to find the stocks to invest in, how to determine when's a good time to invest, those sorts of things. Any words of wisdom that you would like to share?
Great question, Chris. So let's first of all, let's be real. I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, but that's part of learning and investing. Um, my advice to a young person is, first of all, is diversification. Absolutely, just diversify. I would diversify a portfolio. Uh, Pay yourself first. Get the bills paid, and things take time. Um, you, I know it's ironic me saying this, but you don't get rich overnight. On average, 20-25 years is the time frame needed, in my opinion. But also too, that could depend geographically. I mean, if you live in South Alabama, a $500,000 portfolio with dividends at around 5 or 6%, someone's going to live better than they would in, our neck of the woods here in Florida.
Mhm.
So it's dependent on a lot of different factors.
Well, I think you've touched on something, that everybody should look at is how can I reduce my monthly expenses to have better, be able to live better off of the portfolio that I have. It's not just about growing the portfolio, but also about managing expenses and managing your cost basis, right?
Yeah, you are correct on that. Absolutely. I'll probably lose subscribers for this one, but Dave Ramsey, I mean, my wife kind of shoved him in our budget, but he's okay. I like Dave. Dave Ramsey is a pretty good example to follow. It's just basic. Keep your credit card, bills down. If you have to, get a part-time job and just pay off the bills. Because good heavens, who wants to pay 23% interest rate? Cut the cable too. I mean, as the high net worth I have, we don't have cable. We don't have cable TV. We just have 2 or 3 streaming services. I mean, it's just there's a lot of hubbubaloo on the cable networks now that doesn't interest me. But to each their own. I mean, just look around. You'd be surprised. eBay or these online auctions. Look around your house. There's stuff to sell. Take that extra money and chuck it into your portfolio. And
Sure.
also, too, one more thing I would like to recommend. I stress this a lot on my Twitter page is paper trading.
Yeah.
Paper trade, and if you know what that is, it's basically it's a fake account with monopoly money. I think Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade gives you $250,000 in monopoly money to play with,
Hmm.
and you can go to town or try different trading strategies with options too, and you know learn from that way too.
Well, and I'm glad that you mentioned options because as we both know, there can be a lot of risk when you're doing options trading. What better way to learn, how different trades will work out, based on what direction stock takes than by doing, as you've just said there, paper trading. Why risk your portfolio? Why risk your hard-earned cash until you've had that experience, seeing how, it will work with paper money first.
Right.
Great advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Paper trade. And it's fun too. It's fun. You're like, okay, I did this right. Oops, I did this wrong. Well, it didn't cost me anything. Paper trade.
So since you mentioned options, I know that you do some options trading, along with your stock investing. Can you tell us a little bit about how options supplement what you're doing with stocks? How does that play into your overall strategy?
Um, I have 3 different accounts. My option trading account is kind of my um, play money. And I made a lot of mistakes, but I had a lot of wins over the summer. I was smoking it with Nvidia. I don't know if you saw my post, but 3 or 4 thousand, $5,000 a day with Nvidia. Now I was doing long call diagonals. It's a
Oh.
diagonal spread deep
Hmm.
in the money, and that worked out very well for me.
Very nice.
Yeah, but that's why even this morning I posted this option trading cheat sheet that you can download. And as you very well know, and you're a very experienced option trader, it all comes down to what the sentiment is, how you feel about a particular stock, if you're bullish, neutral, or if you're bearish.
Hmm.
So that's key. How do you feel about it? What direction do you think it'll go to? Because other than that, if you don't know the sentiment, it's going to be a losing trade, in my opinion.
Right.
You know,
Right, for certain. Well, and I'm glad you brought up diagonals, because diagonals, calendar trades, in my opinion, are some of the safer, lower risk type options trades to make. So, for somebody starting out, that those may be the types of strategies that you look at, versus something that carries a little bit more risk. I do iron butterflies, iron condors, vertical spreads, and those, as you've just clearly said, if you get the sentiment wrong, you can lose substantially on those types of positions very quickly.
right,
So
right.
great,
Well,
great,
I
great.
think I think the majority of the people we follow on X, there's nothing wrong with just a good old fashioned covered calls
Mhm.
and cash secured puts. Just keep it easy, and that income is great. When you get the premium from
Mhm.
selling a covered call, that's just pure income.
Pure income.
Yeah,
Even better if it expires worthless and you keep the premium and sell a new one, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Good point. Yeah.
Very good. So Dave, before we wrap here, I just want to see if I can't, steal from you maybe a stock pick or a stock that you would recommend the audience to take a closer look at.
So this is a stock I've been looking at, and actually this is a stock that I took a position in. It is a what's great about this? It's a dividend stock. As you know, I'm a dividend investor. I live totally off dividends,
Mhm.
and this one attracted me when I came across it. It has this is the best part that I like about it. It has a 28% payout ratio. That's incredible. That's incredible. That's extremely low,
Mhm.
which is great. You want the payout ratio to be under 70. This is 28%. Um, it's a $1.3 billion market cap. It has a 3.52 dividend yield, and it's been paying dividends for over 31 years. It's a small cap. The name of the company is West America Bank Corporation, ticker
Oh.
Whiskey Alpha Bravo Charlie, WABC.
And is this a community bank or what type of firm is
It's
it?
a regional bank, a small cap regional bank out of California. And again, what's impressive is the payout ratio of 20% and paying a dividend over 31 years. And I'm okay with that. For a small
Good.
cap bank to pay consistent dividends over 31 years um, speaks
And, and
volumes.
and the price point right now, you think this is, potentially a good opportunity for people to buy into.
Yes, I agree because I entered in the position at $42 a share. Today, I last checked, it's at $50.38. This
Very
is about
nice.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's not a bad gain for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's not a bad gain at all. And I happen to be fortunate enough to get it prior to the ex-dividend date too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good. So you'll be
So
getting that first paycheck here shortly.
yeah, in fact, I just got it last night. I checked my account this morning.
Nice.
Yeah. Small bank. It was amazing. I was surprised. It's just a little small. It doesn't trade a lot. I think at most 225,000 shares a day, but still, it's still liquid enough where if you want to pull out or, wouldn't be a problem. I'm very
Very
happy
nice.
with my investment.
So
And that's
everybody check that out. West America Bank
Corporation,
Corporation.
WABC. Yeah, if you're a dividend investor, or if you want, you can get both. Both income and growth out of it too.
Very good. Well, Dave, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a great discussion. I'm sure everybody's gotten a lot of value from everything you've said. And again, knowing that some big news is coming up early next year, we'll look forward to bringing you back on the channel so you can tell us all about it.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm excited. There's still some things I got to work out. Me and this other individual, and I will definitely keep everyone posted. Let's
Terrific.
put it this way: it's going to double my monthly income, double it.
Very
So
nice.
yeah,
Well, great. Dave, thanks for sharing. We wish you luck with it, and you have
all
a
right,
good
Greg.
rest of your day.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.